Let me tell you about the worst night of my life. It was 3:47 a.m. I remember the time because the clock's red digits were burned into my vision, like a branding iron pressing against my brain. Outside, the wind howled like a feral animal. But inside, it was silent. Too silent. The kind of silence that weighs on your chest, makes it hard to breathe. Then my phone buzzed. I wish it hadn't. I was sitting at the edge of my bed, staring at my hands. I didn't know why I felt the way I did, empty, anxious, like I was standing on the edge of a cliff and someone was behind me, ready to shove. But the buzz jolted me out of my thoughts. My hands trembled as I reached for the phone. It was my brother. The message was short, "Need you. Now." These are 2 letters that held the weight of the world. You see, I hadn't spoken to my brother in over a year. Not because I didn't love him, but because I couldn't, not after what he did. And here he was, in the middle of the night, breaking the silence. Why? I didn't know. But something about the way he wrote those 2 words sent a shiver down my spine. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and walked out into the freezing night. The streets were deserted, except for the occasional flicker of a streetlight. My car's engine sputtered to life, and as I drove, my mind raced. Was he in trouble? Hurt? Or was this just another one of his schemes? Another way to pull me back into his mess? You need to understand something. My brother had a knack for chaos. He was a master at turning molehills into mountains and dragging everyone else along for the climb. And me? I was always the safety net, the one who cleaned up the wreckage. Until the last time when I couldn't. I pulled up to his apartment complex. The windows were dark. No signs of life. For a moment, I wondered if I'd made a mistake, if he was just drunk texting me like he had so many times before. But then I saw it. His car was in the lot. The driver's side door was open. Here's what you need to know about my brother and me. We grew up in a house where choices weren't a thing. My dad, he made the rules. My mom, she enforced them. And us, we followed them or we suffered the consequences. So when my brother hit 18, he bolted. He wanted freedom. He wanted options. He wanted to choose who he could be. But life doesn't work that way, does it? Life doesn't care about what you want. It cares about what you can handle. And my brother couldn't handle much. I stepped out of the car, my breath visible in the freezing air. The wind bit at my face as I approached his car. There was something on the ground. A wallet. His wallet. I'm not proud of what I did next. I panicked. I grabbed the wallet, looked around like a lunatic, and shouted his name. Nothing. Not even an echo. That's when I noticed the door to the building. It was slightly ajar, swaying in the wind. You know that feeling when your body knows something's wrong before your brain catches up? That's what I felt as I stepped inside. The hallway was pitch black, except for a faint light coming from under one of the doors. His door. I'll spare you the details of what I saw when I opened that door. Let's just say it's the kind of thing you can't unsee. The kind of thing that changes you. He was there, alive but barely. And the look in his eyes, it was like he was begging me to fix it. To fix him. Like I always had. But here's the truth. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Life is brutal like that. It doesn't ask what you want. It doesn't wait for your permission. It just happens. And you're left standing there, holding the pieces, trying to make sense of a puzzle that doesn't have all the pieces. That night, I realized something that changed me forever. You don't always get to choose your battles, but you do get to choose how you fight them. I stayed with my brother that night. We didn't talk much. There wasn't much to say. But as the sun rose and the light filled the room, I made a decision. I couldn't save him, but I could stand by him. And sometimes that's enough. So if you're out there feeling like life is throwing you into a battle you didn't sign up for, remember this. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep going. Because even when it feels like you have no choice, you still have one. To show up. Life might be full of choices, but here's the paradox. You don't actually have a choice. I know it sounds contradictory, but in the next 15 minutes, you will discover why this counterintuitive idea is the key to living and not just existing. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Choice. Can you remember when you were a kid? Every decision felt monumental. Chocolate or vanilla, soccer or piano lessons. But as you grew older, something changed. The choices seemed to multiply, yet simultaneously narrow. Here's the reality. The average person makes about 35,000 decisions every single day. That's a staggering number. But how many of those decisions are truly yours? Let's break down the science. Your brain is hardwired to make decisions based on past experiences, emotions, and subconscious biases. This is a choice paradox. You think you're choosing, but your brain has often decided before you're even aware of it. But I consciously weigh my options, you might argue. Here's the catch. Even that weighing process is influenced by factors beyond your control. Your upbringing, cultural background, and even the last thing you ate all play a role in shaping your choices. Chapter 2. The Determinism Dilemma. Free will versus determinism. It's a debate that's raged for centuries. Philosophers and scientists have grappled with this question. Are our actions predetermined, or do we have the power to choose? The answer might surprise you. Recent neuroscience research suggests that our brains make decisions up to 10 seconds before we become consciously aware of them. It's as if our subconscious mind is the real driver, and our conscious self is just along for the ride. This is depressing. What's the point of trying? But hold on. Understanding this lack of choice isn't about giving up. It's about liberation. When you realize that many of your choices are predetermined, you can focus on what truly matters. Your reactions and adaptations to life's circumstances. Chapter 3. The Responsibility Paradox. Here's where it gets interesting. If we don't have a choice, does that mean we're not responsible for our actions? Absolutely not. In fact, this realization should make you more responsible, not less. Think about it this way. If your actions are influenced by countless factors, then every decision you make has ripple effects far beyond what you can see. Your choice to be kind to a stranger might alter the course of their entire day, week, or even life. This is the responsibility paradox. The less choice you have, the more responsible you need to be for your actions and their consequences. Chapter 4. The Power of Awareness. Now that you understand the illusion of choice, what do you do with this knowledge? This is where the real power lies. Awareness is your superpower. Most people sleepwalk through life, believing they're making choices when they're really just following predetermined patterns. But you're now awake to the reality. This awareness gives you an edge. Start observing your decision-making process. Notice the impulses, the gut feelings, the seemingly random thoughts that guide your actions. By becoming aware of these subconscious influences, you can begin to work with them rather than being blindly controlled by them. Chapter 5. Reframing your narrative. Here's a powerful tool. Reframe your life story. Instead of seeing yourself as a passive recipient of choices, view yourself as an active participant in a grand, interconnected narrative. You didn't choose your parents, your place of birth, or your innate talents. But you can choose how to interpret and use these givens. This is the essence of personal growth. Not changing who you are, but becoming more fully who you already are. Chapter 6. The Freedom of Constraint. Paradoxically, understanding that you don't have a choice can be incredibly freeing. It's like a swimmer who stops fighting the current and instead learns to navigate within it. Think about great artists throughout history. They didn't have unlimited choices. They worked within the constraints of their mediums, their cultures, their time periods. Yet it was precisely these constraints that fueled their creativity. Your life is no different. The constraints you face, your background, your circumstances, your limitations, these aren't obstacles to overcome. They're the very elements that make your journey unique and valuable. Chapter 7. The Illusion of Control. Let's tackle a big one. The illusion of control. Society tells you that if you just work hard enough, make the right choices, you can control your destiny. But life has a way of throwing curveballs. The COVID-19 pandemic is a perfect example. In an instant, carefully laid plans were upended worldwide. But here's what's fascinating. Those who thrived weren't necessarily those who had the most control before. It was those who were adaptable, who could quickly adjust to new realities. This is the paradox of control. The more you try to control everything, the more stressed and inflexible you become. But when you accept that control is largely an illusion, you become more resilient, more able to roll with life's punches. Chapter 8. The Choice You Do Have. Now, here's the plot twist. While you don't have a choice in many aspects of life, there is one crucial choice you always have. Your attitude. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, put it beautifully. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. This is your superpower. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how you respond. This choice of attitude or perspective is the foundation of resilience, growth, and ultimately fulfillment. Chapter 9. The Ripple Effect. Understanding that you don't have a choice doesn't mean your actions don't matter. In fact, They matter more than ever. Every action you take, every word you speak, creates ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. The butterfly effect isn't just a theory in chaos mathematics. It's a reality of human interaction. A small act of kindness today could set in motion a chain of events that changes someone's life tomorrow. This interconnectedness is both a responsibility and an opportunity. You're not just living your life. You're contributing to the tapestry of human experience. Chapter 10. Embracing Uncertainty. Here's a liberating truth. You don't need to have it all figured out. In fact, thinking you should have all the answers is a recipe for anxiety and paralysis. Embracing uncertainty doesn't mean being passive. It means being open, curious, and ready to adapt. It's about developing a growth mindset, seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and evolve. Remember, even the most successful people don't have it all figured out. They're just better at navigating uncertainty and learning as they go. The realization that in life, you don't have a choice isn't a defeat. It's an invitation. An invitation to live more consciously, to act more responsibly, to love more fully. Because when you embrace this truth, you discover that the real adventure of life isn't in the choices you make, but in how fully you show up for the journey. Remember, you may not have a choice in many aspects of life, but you always have a choice in how you respond. And that ultimately is what defines your life. So choose wisely. Choose to live fully. Choose to love deeply. Choose to make a difference. Because while you may not have a choice, your choices still matter.